Mailbag time here on Chicago Bears Now. We'll get to your questions in just a second. Follow me on Twitter at HGramNFL. You can tweet me your questions there if we don't get to your questions in this video. All right, Tyler Nipper with the super chat. Trade for Minshew, cheap, 37-11 touchdown to interception ratio in 20 games. Minshew is the ultimate. The stats look pretty good on paper, but a lot of them are in garbage time guy. I like Gardner Minshew as a high-level backup, but if you think bringing in Gardner Minshew is just going to solve your quarterback problems, I think you're going to be disappointed. If you want to throw a fifth to the Jags for him or something like that and let him compete, that's fine, but that probably means you missed out on about 5 or 6 other guys. Laker Nation next up, more touches, Tarik Cohen or Montgomery, play Cohen at receiver. Montgomery's going to have more touches. Cohen may have more receptions and probably will next year. Obviously, he's coming off the ACL injury, but the Bears signed him to that extension. He's got 3 years and I believe $19 million on his deal starting next year. He'll play some slot like he typically does. You know, they move him around. He'll be back on special teams, I'm sure. But, yeah, I think David Montgomery will end up having more touches. He really established himself as a legit running back the second half of the season. Valente, hashtag Bears. Do you think the Bears should sign Will Fuller? Be fun. He's hurt a lot. He's a good player. If you think Will Fuller's a good replacement for Robinson, I think you'll also be disappointed by that. But he's not a bad option if you lose Allen Robinson. I'll at least say that. I think Fuller's more of a high-end number 2 receiver, but he is a good player. He's a good speed guy. He's just hurt too much. That's my only issue. Let me know what you guys think. What is your favorite holiday? Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, whatever it is, Easter. Let me know down in the comments. What is your favorite holiday ever, period? I was born on All Saints Day. It's not my favorite holiday, but that's a fun fact for you guys. Let me know in the comments section. Maybe it's Valentine's Day, and you should get your wife, girlfriend, sister, mom some flowers and brighten up their day. Luckily for you guys, we got 15% off with our partner Pro Flowers only when you go to this link, chatsports.com/flowers. Tons of bouquets available, roses, daisies, dandelions, all of that good stuff, and some goodies as well. You can get this spa package, which is a great deal for your wife or girlfriend. I'm already got one of these ordered as well. And hey, maybe you like some sweets you want to share, get in on the action. You can get some of these donuts also. Chatsports.com/flowers, 15% off at checkout. That link will be in the comments and in the description, but you have to go to that link, chatsports.com/flowers. Jason Howard, no relation to Josh. First-time viewer, love your stuff. You think Pace will make a huge move to save his job, maybe a desperate move? First of all, appreciate you watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Daily videos. I think they're going to do something. They offered a first to Detroit for Stafford, at least a first. That's reported. That's out there. That's not fake news from Dan Sileo. Desperate. I don't know if the McCaskies will let them do something outrageous because they're on the hot seat. You got to figure out quarterback. You know what would be desperate? A desperate move would be like calling the Lions and being like, please give us Jared Goff, or the Eagles, please give us Carson Wentz. That's desperate. You can't do that. Aiden Collins, Watson or Allen Robinson? Both. Watson, if I have to pick one, but Watson ain't coming without Robinson, so it's got to be both. Tony Jurisic? If the Bears get Watson and make it to the playoffs and lose first round, will they keep Nagy and Pace? Because I wouldn't. It all depends. You can't just write on paper if they go 9-7 and they lose in the first round. It all depends on how it happens, right? Were there injuries? Was the opponent, a legitimate Super Bowl contender? Did the offense struggle throughout most of the season? If the offense is clicking and Watson plays well, and this is like a 10 or 11 win team and they lose a close playoff game, I doubt they're going to fire Nagy and Pace. Maybe they'd fire Pace, but you got to factor in how things happen, not just the black and white results, because it's not that simple. Curtis Williams, hashtag Bears. If the Bears miss on Watson, how about trading for Sam Darnold? We've talked about Darnold before. It's been a while. I don't love the idea. If you want to trade low, this feels like we missed on our first 3 or 4 options, so let's circle back to Sam Darnold. Wasn't very good last year. Now, the Jets were a disaster under Adam Gase. I'm acknowledging that. Before this season, I was still very high on Darnold, but he just hasn't progressed, guys. He has not improved as an NFL quarterback, and I understand he's had brutal circumstances, but the great ones show development. They show improvement. He hasn't really done that. Now, I'm not saying he can't be a franchise quarterback. We just haven't seen evidence that he can be, and that worries me. I might throw a third for him, just a third straight up for Darnold. You talk me into that. Like, I think he would instantly be better with the Bears because there's better weapons, but yeah, I mean, I'm not giving up a first or second, which I think the Jets would want at least a second to move Darnold, and I just don't think that's really worth it at the end of the day. Would you be happy with Sam Darnold? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Make this the pinned comment on today's video. I can't say I'd be that happy. I'd be willing to give it a try, but he's a fallback option. I'm going to type my in for no. Dirty Mike next up. If not Watson, should we make a big move for Justin Fields or Trey Lance at least? You're not getting Fields, I don't think. Something would have to go wrong in the workout process or the interviews or injury or something for you to get in Fields territory. Trey Lance, maybe, because I think a lack of a combine or true combine hurts him. Stay tuned if you're watching live. I'll just say that. Caven Puri, hashtag Bears draft. If the Bears went best player available in the draft, what position group would you be okay with aside quarterback and offensive line? If you don't have Robinson, I'd be okay with the receiver as well. I'd rather go QB or O-line, but I think if you don't have Allen Robinson, you have to at least consider receiver in round one, depending on who's sitting there at number 20. Also, how much for Cordarrelle Patterson? I think he was making like 4.5 last year. It's got to be 5 or less for me. I know he's a culture guy, good special teams player, can do some things on offense, but I can't go more than about $5 million per year for him. Zev is next up. What do you think of trading away Akiem Hicks and the picks the Texans want for Deshaun with Eddie Goldman coming back next year? They'll also save around $9 million next year to spend on some O-linemen. I threw out a trade proposals video for Deshaun Watson, and one of them included Hicks and Kyle Fuller, and that saved, I believe, like $14 million or so. I wouldn't be opposed to this, but that's probably going to have to be a 3 first-round picks type of trade. I don't think just Hicks is going to entice the Texans. You're going to have to throw a bunch of picks in there. I want Mac Jones because Trey Lance not going to fall to us. Probably not. Mac Jones may not either. If the Bears want to draft one of the top 5 quarterbacks, I'd say there's at least a 30% chance they're going to have to trade up. That's just the reality of the situation. Maybe Mac Jones falls, maybe Lance falls, but I think you're right. I think there's a decent chance you're going to have to move up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're posting videos all the time, the latest rumors, news. We do these live mailbags on Tuesdays, so subscribe and join us every Tuesday, 4 o'clock Eastern Time, 3 o'clock Central. Also, type S in the comments if you already have subscribed. Would greatly appreciate it. We're trying to grow our channel every single day and become the #1 Bears channel here on YouTube. Giants fan, appreciate you watching a Bears show. Any possibility the Bears draft an interior offensive line? Absolutely. I think they found some things on that interior toward the end of the season. I think Sam Mustipher showed he can be a starting center. I think Whitehair played really well at guard, and you still have James Daniels who can play at guard as well. Plus, Alex Bars is pretty solid. So you've got options there, but that does not mean they could not draft a guard in this draft. Joel Fernandez, is it time for Charles Leno to move on? I'll say this. You have to cut Leno or Massey. You can't keep both. They cost too much. You got to cut one of these guys. Maybe you cut both, but at least one of them. I don't really care who it is. You're going to save similar money based on who you cut. Pick which one you like better, and then cut the other one. That's what I say. Spinhin, what do you think of signing Jameis Winston if Watson falls to another team? I think that I don't hate it, but it doesn't inspire a lot for me. I still think there's a small part of me that still thinks Jameis can be a good starter in this league, but that's pretty uninspiring if you've kind of sold your fan by saying, hey, we're digging deep at quarterback, and you end up with Jameis. That feels a little underwhelming to me. Leslie Padilla, should the Bears trade Khalil Mack and Kyle Fuller and 2 first-round picks? The Texans give away, I assume you mean J.J. Watt and Deshaun Watson. I did that same trade except for Hicks and Hicks instead of Mack, I'd still probably do it, though, to get Deshaun Watson and you get Watt back. So, yeah, I think I'd probably do it. Last one here. We'll get to more questions later on in the show if you're watching live. What do you think about Vic talking to Watson going to the Bears or 49ers? Yeah, Michael Vick hopped on one of those Fox shows or whatever the other day and said, hey, I'm gonna tell Deshaun that he should look at the Bears or 49ers. Remember this, Michael Vick was a coaching intern for the Chiefs in 2017 when Matt Nagy was their offensive coordinator. So there's a relationship there with him and Nagy. So I think he's looking at it and say, hey, I think Nagy's a good offensive mind, and the Bears are in win-now mode. So it could make some sense for Deshaun Watson.